40 years after John Carpenter's classic horror Halloween first hit the big screen, Jamie Lee Curtis is back as Laurie Strode in a sequel that sees the former babysitter attempt to turn the tables on the murderous Michael Myers. Yippee-ki-yay movie lovers, it's Jan here, and today I'm revealing the secret truth about the new Halloween movie and Michael Myers, including 10 freaky facts you need to know about the film. If you're new here, I do regular deep dives into your favourite flicks, so tap the bell and also leave me a comment about the movie for a chance to win one of these cool Halloween merch packs. And make sure you stay to the end of the video to find out some secret cameos in the film. When it came to creating memorable death scenes for the inhabitants of Haddonfield, the filmmakers behind the new movie wanted to make the kind of striking images that are still burned into their brains like terrifying postcards many years after they first saw John Carpenter's original Halloween. But just how did the new creative team go about producing spine-chilling images of Michael Myers' victims after their deaths? Well, once director David Gordon Green knew exactly what deathly scene he wanted to be seared into audiences' minds, Oscar-winning special effects makeup designer Christopher Nelson set about creating it by making life casts of the actors whose characters are killed with specific expressions. The designer then re-sculpted the casts for dramatic effect, slightly over-accentuating their expressions and stylizing them to give a terrifying inhumanity. In fact, Nelson's creations turned out to be so freaky that when actress Andi Matichak, who plays Jamie Lee Curtis's on-screen granddaughter, first saw one of the corpses he'd made in his workshop, it was so horrifically real that she refused to go anywhere near it. To bring the Shape, aka Michael Myers, back to life, the filmmakers turned to actor stuntman James Jude Courtney, who impressed them with his ability to channel the character's enigmatic, methodical nature. And Courtney found inspiration for his performance in some rather freaky places. First of all, there was Courtney's encounter with a real-life hitman who he met many years earlier through a mutual acquaintance. The professional assassin lived with the actor for a while as he wanted his life story written, and Courtney says he absorbed a lot just by hanging out with the hitman every day. But that's not all. After watching a film about a contract killer that Courtney appeared in, the real-life assassin gave the actor the lowdown on how trained killers really work. Years later, Courtney took what he learned from that experience, especially the hitman's emphasis on the importance of stealth and efficiency, and translated it into his portrayal of Michael Myers and the efficient way he kills his victims. In fact, according to Jamie Lee Curtis, something changed when Courtney put Myers' mask on. The combination of his lack of human response and his physical strength came out in a visceral and emotional way. For his version of Michael Myers, Courtney didn't just channel contract killers though, he also took cues from cats. Yes, to help the actor create a Myers that was capable of emotionless rampage, director David Gordon Green suggested he look at cats in the wild, such as leopards and cheetahs, that don't rationalize anything other than what's in their path. So to get the kind of cat-like quality to Myers' movement which the director wanted on screen, Courtney used the way his own cat plays and hunts as a reference. And this isn't the first time the actor has looked to a cat for ideas about a character. In the late 90s, Courtney appeared in an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and used a cat to design his movement for his demonic character on the show. For Courtney, cats are the most perfect hunting, killing machines on the planet, and the beauty of it is we don't judge a cat for what a cat does. So the actor carried that movement and the non-judgmental approach to the way he moved as the Shape. Nick Castle, who played the original Michael Myers in the very first Halloween movie, also passed on some valuable nuggets of information to the filmmakers about playing the Shape based on his own experience of the character in the 70s. Castle gave advice about little subtle character traits, for example how Michael Myers turns or tilts his head to observe a kill, and also how he sits up at a 90-degree angle without using his hands, all of which the director found useful for the new film. However, Nick Castle actually credits director John Carpenter as the person who came up with the idea of the now classic head tilt back in 1978. According to Castle, during filming, Carpenter told him to stand and look at the character Myers had just killed, then tilt his head to the right, then to the left. At the time, Castle didn't realise what Carpenter was trying to achieve with that little instruction. But when he saw the final film, he was blown away by the director's brilliant idea to make it look like Myers was admiring his kill. Most of the time you see the Shape on screen, he's being played by James Jude Courtney. However, fans of John Carpenter's classic will be happy to hear that the original actor Nick Castle does have a cameo in the new movie. Make sure you look out for the first time that Laurie sees the Shape, because that's Castle under the Michael Myers mask. Director David Gordon Green specifically asked the veteran actor to perform Myers' classic head tilt once more, a move which apparently gave everyone on set goosebumps. And actually, Castle also got to pass the Michael Myers torch onto new actor James Jude Courtney in that same scene.
When Laurie sees the shape, it's Nick and it's I in the same scene. So he's in the first shot in the reveal, then I'm in the second part of that shot, and then I carried the torch from that point forward. So it was literally handing of the baton, man. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Now, while Castle's on-screen time as Myers is short, that's not his only contribution to the new movie. Listen carefully for any scenes where you can hear Myers breathing, because the sounds you hear are actually Nick Castle, who recorded the shape's breathing in post-production. An absolutely crucial part of the Halloween movies is Myers' creepy mask, which actually started out life as a store-bought William Shatner Captain Kirk mask. Before its eye holes were made bigger, its hair was altered and it was spray-painted white, all of which gave it the iconic look we know today. For the new movie, rather than put their own spin on the mask, the filmmakers decided to try to recreate the original's strange, soulless mannequin-like face, and most importantly the feeling it inspired in audiences. But it wasn't nearly as simple as it sounds, because 4 decades have passed since Michael Myers first wore the mask, and the latex would have changed shape after so long in evidence storage. Fortunately, the movie had special effects makeup designer Christopher Nelson on board to get the right look. Nelson has a real grasp of the history of both the franchise and the mask, as he's been a fan of the series since he saw the first movie when he was 10 years old. The designer researched how 40-year-old latex decomposes and studied how it looks when it gets brittle, wrinkles, warps and sags, all of which was essential for how he created the new mask while still keeping the expression and form of the original one. For Nelson, another vital element of the mask from the original film was that it looked different in each shot. So he channeled that feeling into the new film, making the new deteriorated mask look different at every angle, to give a sense that the mask was constantly shape-shifting. According to Jamie Lee Curtis, her unofficial godson Jake Gyllenhaal was so keen for her to work with director David Gordon Green that he tracked her down while she was on vacation in the mountains. Gyllenhaal was really enthusiastic about the amazing creative experience he'd had working with Green on the Boston Marathon bombing film Stronger, and that convinced Curtis to speak with the director about his ideas for a new Halloween movie. However, when she signed on to return to the screen once more as Laurie Strode, Curtis assumed the movie would focus more on Laurie's daughter and granddaughter, and it was only once Curtis started working through her character's psychological trauma in rehearsals that she realised the real depth of the work she'd taken on. Not only was the shoot emotionally moving with plenty of tears, but it was also physically draining in terms of stunt work, and Curtis ended up with a cracked rib after shooting the film's final sequences. In fact, she says it took her a good month to recover afterwards. Given the story's late October setting and several memorable moments in the original movie, including its opening credits, it's hardly surprising to see jack-o'-lanterns on display in the new film. But getting hold of the hundreds of fresh pumpkins that were needed in time for the movie's mid-January shoot in Charleston, South Carolina proved to be rather tricky. Set decorator Missy Ricker ended up having to bring in truckloads of them from North Carolina, and she also had to ensure she had many dozens of pumpkins of the same size and shape so they could be used for any scenes that needed to be filmed many times over. On top of that, the set decorating team also had to work out how to preserve the pumpkins so they were always camera ready throughout the shoot. The key to that particular problem turned out to be dipping them in vats of a bleach solution. Nick Castle isn't the only star of the original film who makes a brief return in the new movie. Actor Donald Pleasance's character Dr. Samuel Loomis has been a major part of the Halloween franchise since it began, and while Pleasance passed away in the 1990s, Dr. Loomis still gets a vocal cameo in the new film. Although it's not the voice of Pleasance himself, the filmmakers are pretty pleased with the result of the sound-alike voice actor they found for the role. Of course, this isn't the first time that Dr. Loomis has been recreated by a voice actor, as that also happened in the 1998 film Halloween H2O. And I'm going to talk more about Loomis in my Halloween deleted scenes video, which you can tap here to watch. By the way, in this new film, also listen out for PJ Soles, who played Laurie's friend Linda in the 1978 movie, and who makes a brief appearance here as a teacher, whose voice you'll hear during one of Alison's classes. Now, if you've seen Halloween, what did you think? And where do you rank it against the other Halloween movies? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and remember to subscribe for a chance to win one of these cool Halloween merch packs. The winner of my Venom Funko Pop is on screen now, so if you're the winner, message me via email to claim the prize. Tap left to watch my new Halloween ending and twist explained video, or tap right for my full horror playlist. If you enjoyed this, I really appreciate a thumbs up and a share. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Yippee-ki-yay, movie lovers!